Hi, it's Bob with Aspire, and we're here to introduce you today to our new Aspire Handbook for Siuslaw and Mapleton High School students. This is the spring of 2020. This handbook has just been written, and it's particularly, we hope, going to be useful during the quarantining from the coronavirus and then beyond. So let's take a look at it. The first thing we want to do is just scroll down here and take a look at the table of contents. And we're just going to skim through this because we're actually going to be taking a look at the document itself. You will note as we go through this that it is about 45 pages. So it is not really intended as a document that you read from cover to cover. It's more like a reference book. So let's go on and just look very briefly through each of the different sections so that you know what's here. First of all is a little bit about Aspire and what it is, where it comes from, how to sign up, and how much time will it take, and that, in fact, is up to you. You can use it as much or as little as you wish. The communication section is about how we will communicate with you and you can communicate with us. Typically, at Siuslaw High School, we send out notes in the morning of your appointment and ask that you come in at a certain time. That might be during Pride or during lunch or during a study skills time slot. And the one thing that we do ask is that if you are unable to make the appointment for any reason, for example, you have to take a test at that time or something else, you have a different meeting that conflicts, please let us know as soon as possible. So that, because sometimes our volunteers do come in from home just to meet with a student, and it's disappointing when they come in and then the student doesn't show up. So please do honor their time in that way. All right, moving on to the websites. And there are two now. There is this one, which is Siuslaw After High School 1, and the other one is Siuslaw After High School 2. And this explains a little bit about what each one does, and you can, of course, go into those websites and take a closer look. Now, life choices. Before you begin to explore what it is that you want to do with your life after high school, ask yourself some questions. What is most important to you? Pay, job satisfaction, maximization of leisure time, travel opportunities, etc. What kind of lifestyle do you want, and how much will it cost? If you want a Ferrari, you're probably going to have a job that helps you to pay for it. If you want a bike instead of a car, you won't need nearly as much money to get around, so just give some thought to your lifestyle. What are your chances of getting a job in your chosen field? If you're going, for example, to go into a field that does not have good prospects for employment, you should be aware of that. You can continue to pursue that field of study, or you can look at something else that might be more possible to find a job in. If you're planning to attend college, how much does it cost you, and how much do you have to pay for it? Will you be getting scholarships? Does your family have resources? Will you be working at a paid job while you're in college, etc.? Is higher education the best option for you? It might not be. You might want to go to trade school or get a job or get married and raise a family. Lots of possibilities. If you do attend college, what are the main criteria for you? Why do you want to, what particular kind of college do you want to go for? Size, location, athletic programs, specialties, etc. All right, now some options for what you might want to do after high school. Take a gap year, get a job, start a business, get an apprenticeship, attend a college, 2-year or 4-year, go to trade school, join the Job Corps, join AmeriCorps, the Peace Corps, Projects Abroad, or the Conservation Corps, join the military. Give some thought to which ones of those might be most interest to you, and we can talk about them in Aspire. Exploring your interests and options. This is some information about where you can go to look into different options for what might interest you. So we'll skip over it because we assume that you're going to be reading this yourselves as you have the time. Planning and preparation, I think one of the most important things here is to say that your planning should begin at the 9th grade, if not sooner. Your grades will be extremely important starting in the 9th grade. So will your community service efforts. There are some different community service opportunities online, which we have not really discussed before because we didn't have the issues of being at home and working online. And get some work experience. Earning money online is something else you can look into. And stay out of trouble, because any suspension from school or trouble on your transcript could well reflect on your future employment or chances of getting into college or getting scholarships. Resume and activity chart, this explains to you exactly what you need to do in order to create a resume, a list of the things that you've done, work experience and activities and high school education and so on, and then how you turn that into an activity chart. And the activity chart, and I'm skipping over this because you're going to read it, but the activity chart will be important when you get to applying for scholarships. Work experience and volunteer activities, we have some information here about what you can do in order to find a job and to engage in volunteer activities. Taking the PSAT, the SAT, and the ACT are explained here, but we also caution that as a result of some recent events, including the coronavirus, and a trend that was already taking place, colleges and universities are tending to move away from the ACT and the SAT. So do be aware that this may not be something you have to do. But at least look into it, and if you do decide to take one or more of these tests, be sure and get some preparation. And we talk in this section about how you can get that preparation. Also, in signing up, and we can help you with this, signing up for the SAT and the ACT is explained here, you may need or be able to be eligible for a fee waiver, and we explain how that works as well. Receiving and interpreting your scores is explained in this section, and then reporting your scores to colleges and how you do that is also explained. This is a comparison of the SAT and the ACT. They are different, although they certainly have similarities, and we also have a section here on SAT subject tests, and those are used mostly by some high-powered colleges and universities. To my knowledge, they are not needed now at University of Oregon, Oregon State, or some of the other public schools in Oregon, and possibly one or more of the private schools might need an SAT-2 test. You can look into that. Post-secondary education, here are your options. Community college. We've explained quite a bit about the different community colleges in Oregon. There are 17. College Now, as you may well know, is a way of getting college credits while you are in high school. State colleges and universities. There are about 7 of those: University of Oregon, Oregon State, Western, Southern, Eastern, Oregon Institute of Technology, Portland State, Oregon Health and Science University. I think that's more than 7. Early action is a way to apply for certain colleges and universities generally by November 1st and find out by mid-December if you're admitted. Regular admission, there are deadlines for that. Some colleges, like Western, Southern, and Eastern, have rolling admissions. That's where you apply and then find out within the next couple of weeks whether or not you're admitted. Private colleges, higher education outside of Oregon. We have a section on that, and we certainly encourage our students to look into what's possible outside of Oregon. There is a tendency on the part of Cy Isla and Mapleton High School students to stay in Oregon. We would like to encourage you to broaden your horizons and look well beyond that. We have a section here on free colleges. There are 15 or so, including the military academies, which are free. And there are some very interesting opportunities here that you might want to check on. Canadian colleges and universities are not necessarily going to be much more expensive than our United States colleges and universities, although you will not be able to use your FAFSA funds out of the country. However, there are options there that we want you to check into. There are also an increasing number of options for online college and university degrees, bachelor's degrees and master's degrees, and certain certificates are available online, and this is just some of them, but it's being updated regularly as more and more colleges and universities go this route as an option. Trade schools, you may want to go to a trade school for auto mechanics or cosmetology or some other something else that might not be offered at a college or university, but do check out the community colleges before you head for looking into trade schools, because some community colleges have some very good trade programs. There are programs for those who want to perform service and travel. Some pay and others you have to pay, and that's explained in this section. Next, military service. And military service, by the way, can be an excellent option for getting some experience, learning a lot about the world and seeing the world, and also earning funds that you can then use for college and university expenses after you leave the military, which can be in as little as 4 years. And if you do stay in for 4 years, I believe it's typically 4, and you come out, you will have access to the GI Bill, which will provide you with up to $80,000 that you can then apply toward college and university expenses. It's a pretty good option, and for those who want to go this route, and you can certainly, while you're in the military, get an AA degree, that is a 2-year degree. Only one of the branches of the military has, that's the Air Force, has its own community college, but the others have agreements with other community colleges. Okay, a whole section here on federal and state aid, the FAFSA and how to fill it out, and we have a video on that as well. Oregon Opportunity Grant, which goes along with the FAFSA, that is the Oregon version of FAFSA funds. Oregon Promise for community college students, and then loans. And we talk some about loans and the pros and cons of them. We don't recommend them unless you have to, but there are better options in some cases than others. Be sure, if possible, to go with a government loan as opposed to a private loan. Local scholarships. Whole section here on local scholarships and the new SciUSLA Regional Scholarship application. And then there's a video on applying for that, and the application itself is on our website. So be sure to pay attention to that, because the most money for our local students is available through those local scholarship organizations. There are 45 or 50 of them, and at last count, there was about $240,000 available from those organizations. Regional, state, and national scholarships, they're harder to get, but we do have a section here on them, and a section here particularly if you're going into hairdressing, if you have been in foster care, or if you are a member of a minority group, there are some special scholarships here. Also, if you're going into teaching and would like to enter a high-need field, teaching in a low-income school for at least 4 years, you may be able to get some or all of that paid for. Corporate scholarships. Again, they're hard to get, but they're worth looking into. There's a lot of competition for athletic scholarships, but some students get them, and we have some information here on some of those scholarships, Division I, Division II, and Division III schools in Oregon, and what's possible in terms of athletic scholarships. And then there are some others here that we've given you some search information about. College credits for high school students. How you can earn college credits while you're in high school. College Now, Advanced Placement, College Level College Level Examination Program, and of course getting a GED. Then we have some information about budgeting, which is absolutely critical as you head out to college and beyond and are going to be on your own. We have several scenarios here. Number one, a student goes to Oregon State University, works part-time, gets some FAFSA money, and has a bit of personal savings. and what that's going to cost and how you make ends meet. The second scenario is Lane Community College, and this is a student who gets Oregon Promise and a part-time job and some local scholarships. And then there's a third option, and this, by the way, is a backup plan because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and what you might do in order to postpone your enrollment or do it online. Then scenario 3 is you get a job and you do it for a year, and let's see what happens with your expenses. This is not a college option. This is simply you get paid $12 an hour and you do it for 40 hours a week for 50 weeks, and here's what you earn, and then here's what you have to pay back out to live, and what does that look like? And it won't be easy at $12 an hour, but we want you to see what it looks like. Then we have several pages here on doing a job search. And we recommend that you read this before going out and looking for work, because there are some things here that you need to know about, and some advice on a resume, a cover letter, getting references, interviewing, how you go about that, some questions to think about before you go in for the interview itself, paying attention to how you come across and what questions you may want to ask there, and some things to not do, like don't look at your cell phone, don't ask questions at the beginning about salary, benefits, vacations, etc. Don't say critical things about a previous employer, and don't ask questions that are readily available on the company website. Be knowledgeable when you go in. And then finally, some information about following up after your interview and writing thank you notes and so on. So that's our presentation. We now encourage you to go back and read this information, which you can either get from Aspire as a booklet, or you can read the entire thing online at our website, which is https://bit.ly/afterhs, AFTERHS2, the number 2. And you'll see that in many different locations. Good luck, and we hope you'll read this handbook. Thank you.